Okay, so in this particular lecture, we're going to talk about Pythagorean theorem. Now, one of the main concepts that you need to understand is that Pythagorean theorem only works with a right triangle. That's it. No other shape, no other type of triangle, only a right triangle. And you know it's a right triangle because somewhere in the triangle, there's this 90-degree angle. Okay? So, the theorem says that A and B are lengths of the legs of a right triangle. So A and B are legs of the triangle. And you're like, well, how do I know they're the legs? Because they are the two sides that literally form this right angle. And then C is the length of the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. Okay, and then the formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. All right, let's take a look. They're asking you to find the length of the leg of a right triangle. Okay, let me just keep reading. Give the exact length and then a 2-decimal approximation. They said let A be 2 meters and let C be 9 meters. Okay, so we always read it through first once to get an idea of what's going on. Now, I'm going back to the first line. It says, find the length of a leg of a right triangle. So as soon as I see right triangle, and I'm talking about the length of a leg, I know that I'm dealing with Pythagorean theorem, which means the first thing I should write down is Pythagorean theorem. Okay, that is the first thing I should write down. I'm dealing with a right triangle. I'm dealing with the length of a leg. And as a matter of fact, it's not a bad idea to literally draw the triangle out. Knowing that one of these legs is A, the other leg is B, and the hypotenuse is C. Now, it doesn't matter which leg is A and which one is B. Pick one, all right? So they want you to give them the exact length. Exact length means no calculator. I need you to remember that. No calculator for exact length. And then they want a 2-decimal approximation. So they said A is 2 meters and C is 9 meters. So when we go and plug these into our formula, we'll have 2 squared plus b squared equals 9 squared. Because b is the only part of this triangle that I have no idea what the length is. So just working out our math, right? And subtracting 4 from both sides. Now, they asked us to solve for b, correct? What I don't see is b by itself yet. I see there is a square hanging onto it, and the square is not allowed to be there. So what is the inverse? What is going to cancel a square? Good, a square root on both sides, which means on the left we just have b, and on the right we have the square root of 77. Now, I need to make sure you're aware of something here. This 2 on the b actually implies there's 2 answers. And you're like, well, how is that possible? Because let me go up here and ask you what the square root of 9 is. Yes, you said 3, but I also suggest that the square root of 9 is also a -3. And some of you are like, well, how can that be? Well, let me ask you something. We know 3 times 3 is equal to 9, right? But isn't -3 times -3 also equal to a +9? So when I take the square root of 9, I actually have 2 answers. So when I take the square root of b, or the square root of 77, it's not just a positive square root of 77, it's also a negative square root of 77. Now we have to figure out which answer is the correct answer. And that's actually quite easy to do. When I'm looking for length, is length a positive number or a negative number? And if you're not sure, think of a ruler. When you measure something and you find out how long something is that a positive number or a negative number? Yeah, it's a positive number. And if you said negative, that means you've got a ruler with negative numbers on it, and I want it because I still haven't found one yet. So anyway, which tells me that my second answer cannot be used, which means in this case, b is equal to the positive square root of 77. This is the exact answer because I did not punch it into a calculator. Now, my approximate answer, because they said they wanted the approximate answer to 2 decimal places. When you punch that into the calculator, the square root of 77 is approximately 8.77. At least that's what I have. And by the way, on both of these, your answer is not complete until you say or write meters. Good? Does that make sense? Okay, let's look at another one. They ask us to find the length of the hypotenuse of a right triangle when the length of the 2 legs are 2 inches and 7 inches. Okay, so let's go back. Now that we read it through once to get an idea of what's going on, let's go back. Find the length of the hypotenuse of a right triangle. Again, I am dealing with a right triangle. And they specifically said hypotenuse, which means that's that C value. That's that side across from the 90-degree angle. Which means I know I am dealing with Pythagorean theorem, so I am going to write the theorem down. It's always a good idea to write it down. And then they told me the length of the 2 legs are 2 inches and 7 inches. And some of you may go, well, how do I know where the 2 and the 7 goes? It doesn't really matter. Pick one. All I know is that the 2 and the 7 are the legs because they asked me to find the hypotenuse. Cool? Okay, so let's plug these in. Let's see what we're going to get. So I have 2 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. Working on our math. Finally adding these up. And now I need to get c by itself, don't I? All right. Question, how do you get rid of that square on the c? What's its inverse? What's going to cancel it? Good. The square root of both sides. Now remember, this 2 here means you're going to get 2 answers. Remember, the square root of 9 is not just a positive 3. The square root of 9 is also a negative 3, which means I don't get just the positive square root of 53. I also get the negative square root of 53 as an answer. These are my 2 answers. And now you've got to figure out which answer is allowed. Are both of them allowed? That's a possibility. Is only one of them allowed? Well, again, they're talking about a length, aren't they? And length is always what kind of number? Agreed. Positive, which means in this case, c is equal to the square root of 53 inches. Notice I didn't put it in a decimal. Why? Because they didn't ask me for a decimal. So that's what they're going to get. So far, so good? Cool. Let me look at another example. Evan Sachs wants to determine the distance at certain points across a pond on his property. He is able to measure the distances shown on the following diagram. Well, that was very nice of them. They gave us a picture. They want to know how wide is that pond to the nearest tenth of a foot. So when we take a look at this picture, they drew a what? Yeah, they drew a triangle, didn't they? And as a matter of fact, they were very specific. You see that little notation there, that little that little box right there? They didn't draw just a triangle. They drew a right triangle, which means we are dealing with, excellent, Pythagorean theorem. So, what pieces of information did they give me? Good. You see the 65? The 65 is located across from the right angle, isn't it? Which means this is your hypotenuse. Also consider the number for C. The 40 feet is on a leg, isn't it? And you know what? It's your choice. Is this leg A? Is this leg B? It doesn't really matter. It's your choice. But the one thing you know is that C is equal to 65 feet. And let's just say it's A is equal to 40 feet. Good? Okay. So I have a second piece of paper here, so to speak, so we can work on this. So again, A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. We said on the previous page A, we're going to be allowing it to be 40. I'm looking for the B. I have no idea what that leg is, but I do know the hypotenuse is 65. Okay, so 40 squared, I know you guys got your calculators out, right? Okay, 65 squared, yeah, you got your calculators out again. Just start solving. Minusing that 1600 from both sides. And then you get to take the square root, don't you? So remember, when you take the square root, you're going to get how many answers? Correct. That little square means 2 answers. So I know B is equal to the positive square root of 2625. But B is also equal to the negative square root of 2625. And which answer do I take? Do I take the positive answer or do I take the negative answer? Excellent. You take the positive answer because this is a length. And length is always positive. I'm going to write it over the trees. I don't think the word positive came out well, but length is always a positive answer. So B is equal to the square root of 2,625, and they asked me for the nearest tenth, which means we get to take the square root of this number, and good, you get 51.20, or just 2, don't you? But it's not complete until you say the distance across the pond is 51.2 feet. Good? You guys with me? Loving it. Not too bad, right? Okay, very